There's no shortage of issues that need addressing.
Tonight, Nunavut has chosen their new leadership.
Juanita Niklas was last seen on Riverside Drive in Chikane First Nation on October 4th, 2024.
An awareness campaign has launched for a missing First Nation woman in Ontario.
It was there again that the Métis were advocating to stay on their lands.
And the Gabriel Dumont Institute held their annual event honoring Louis Riel. Nansen etutemak, tiar Wheatley nisagasun opasquiacuche. Tawau, welcome to APTN National News for this Wednesday, November 19th. Nunavut has new territorial leadership, and as Justin Hardy tells us, last night a majority of the 21 MLAs elected on October 27th chose Arviat North Representative John Main to lead their new government.
I'm very thankful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Premier-elect John Main is representing Arviat North for the third time and was Nunavut's health minister in the last government. He will be the first non-Inuk premier of the territory after winning the seat via secret ballot against Iqaluit-Niakungu MLA David Akiagak, uncle of outgoing premier PJ Akiagak. Nunavut is a consensus government. There are no parties. The premier and the cabinet are chosen by the elected MLAs who all ran independently. After securing the premier's seat, Main says he will work collaboratively with the rest of the House to find the top priorities of this government.
As a legislature, as a government, we have to develop our priorities together through developing our mandate. There's no shortage of issues that need addressing in terms of which ones are going to be at the top of the list. That's a group exercise that we will be going through.
South Baffin MLA David Jonassy also secured an executive seat as Speaker. Jonassy says that he plans to use his 12 years of experience to balance the Legislative Assembly.
We'll have to work together as a team, and I'm going to be supporting their endeavors in the House, as well as every member has a constituency office that we'll have to get them sorted and set up to have their best foot forward in their constituents and having a good impact for Nunavut as a whole.
With the Speaker and the Premier chosen, the Assembly turned to the matter of cabinet. 9 MLAs were nominated, but only 8 managed to get enough votes to secure a seat. Among them was David Akiagak, who earlier in the night lost his bid for the Premier seat.
I am very, very proud and congratulate Mr. John Main. We have worked quite hard over the years as colleagues in the House and outside of the House. And I would like to work very closely with the cabinet-elect members.
Also chosen for cabinet are Annie Tatwini, Brian Kunu, Cecile Nelvane-Lyle, Craig Semelik, George Hicks, Gwen Healy-Akirak, and Janet Brewster. Premier-elect Main will appoint the 8 new cabinet members to their portfolios in the coming days. All of them will be sworn in on Thursday. Justin Hardy, APTN National News, Iqaluit.
Kinanaskamitin Justin, a remediation company is tackling the cleanup for a long-standing contaminated mine in central Yukon, and according to it, good progress is being made. Most recently, its focus has been on demolishing an old mill structure at the site. But as Sarah Connors tells us, the First Nation whose traditional territory the mine sits on has concerns about the cleanup job. Here's that story.
This mill at the former Mount Nansen mine near the Yukon community of Carmacks is being demolished. The demolition is being led by the Mount Nansen Remediation Limited Partnership, or MNRLP.
The buildings were falling down, and so there was definitely a hazard there.
The former gold and silver mine sits on the Little Sam and Carmacks First Nations traditional territory and a culturally important area for harvesting animals and plants. The mine was abandoned in 1999, left contaminated, and is now under the responsibility of the federal government.
We've removed, I think it's almost 10 truckloads of maybe chemically affected water and waste.
The idea is there. They want to clean it. how they do it, First Nations don't agree with it.
But Chief Russell Blackjack feels there's lingering concerns about the cleanup. He says the mine's tailings pond is not fenced off, and animals like bison have died drinking contaminated water. He also believes the mill should have been torn down when MNRLP's work began 4 years ago.
We want to support them, but we want it done right. We want it clean, proper, and including the tailings pond, because that is one thing that's going to be there for the rest of our lives.
Harrington understands the First Nations' concerns. He says a fence for the tailings pond is in the works, but was delayed due to issues finding a contractor. While he agrees the mill should have been demolished sooner, he says MNRLP has to follow proper procedures.
We're trying to get on with it as fast as we can, but also still follow all the appropriate, third-party review steps that have to be done for these kind of projects.
The First Nations' concerns about the cleanup aren't new. In 2023, it asked the Yukon Water Board for a public hearing and changes to MNRLP's water license, arguing the work wasn't good enough. Harrington says early progress was slow and COVID limited MNRLP's interaction with the First Nation, but he believes things are improving as the company better understands the site.
I'm not saying everything we've done is perfect, but certainly our intent and our hearts are to make sure that the community understands what we're doing and we hear the input.
Despite Blackjack's concerns, he's glad the mill is finally coming down.
They're unwilling to work with us, Whether they do what we want is another story.
Harrington says MNRLP is working with the Little Salmon Carmacks First Nation and the federal government on a modified water license, which the Yukon Water Board is currently reviewing. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Tapwagi Sarah, the longtime chief of a First Nation in Northern Ontario, has been charged with sexual assault. Wilfred King was charged by the Thunder Bay Police Service, or TBPS, for an offence alleged to have occurred in 1992. The news comes just days after King was re-elected as chief of Gull Bay First Nation. In a statement to APTN News, a lawyer representing King wrote, "The timing of these allegations is clearly suspicious. While allegedly historical in nature, they only surfaced during a contested election, one which Chief King was favored to win. We will vigorously fight these accusations, and we look forward to the truth being revealed through the court process. The charges have not been tested in court, and you can find more on the story on our website." The Winnipeg police made a major announcement today regarding an arrest of a 35-year-old male involved in 22 arsons, break-and-enter, and damage-related offenses across the city over the past 4 months. 2 of those buildings APTN previously reported on this past summer. Manitoba Minister of Families, Accessibility and Gender Equity Nahanni Fontaine's constituency office, as well as her colleague Bernadette Smith's constituency office. Smith is the Minister of Housing, Addictions and Homelessness. Another target was the Provincial Treatment Centre, while the others were well-known restaurants and bars within Winnipeg's core. Jesse Robert Sean Wheatland has been charged with arson with disregard for human life, arson causing damage to property times 13, mischief under 5,000, obstruct and enjoyment times 4, break and enter and commit arson place times 2, break and enter with intent place times 2. Wheatland was detained in custody. All charges have yet to be proven in court. Over a year ago, a young woman from Chiging First Nation on Manitoulin Island disappeared. The United Chiefs and Councils of Manitoulin Anishinaabe Police Service and the Ontario Provincial Police have now launched an awareness campaign to highlight the ongoing investigation. 30-year-old Juanita Miguance was last seen in the community on October 4th, 2024. Her family has not given up hope and continues to look for answers. The police are looking for fresh leads into her disappearance. Miguan's family has been upfront about her battle with addiction and previously told APTN they believe drug dealers are possibly involved in the disappearance. A reward of $100,000 is being offered to anyone who can provide the UCCM Anishinaabe Police Service or the OPP with information that helps to bring Juanita home. We want to hear what you think about our stories here and online. Here's how you can reach us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to aptnnews@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. And we share some sad news with you before we go to break about a member of the Indigenous arts community. Ian Ross passed away early this morning in Winnipeg at the age of 57 years old. Ian Ross was Métis and Ojibwe, born in McCreary, Manitoba in 1968. Ross earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Film and Theatre from the University of Manitoba in 1992. The Manitoba Association of Playwrights credits him with writing 17 plays. Ross's dark comedy Farewell, about what happens when the welfare checks stop coming, won him the Governor General's Award for English Drama in 1997. Considered one of the first portrayals of life of an Indian reserve, it was reenacted this year with most of the original cast. Our condolences to Ian's family, friends, and community, including one of our own news family, Julia Ross, Ian's daughter. Tobacco up and prayers down for Ian, also known as Joe from Winnipeg. I said that wrong. It's tobacco down. Come on in, Pete de Guay. An iconic building at Higgins and Main in Winnipeg is on track to get a new life. The Indigenous Cultural Centre has gone into decline over the last 25 years, but by spring next year, it could have a new roof. CTV's Harrison Shin explains the announcement is bringing a healing effect to the Indigenous community.
New hope is on the way to the Circle of Life Thunderbird House.
Everybody in the office was pretty ecstatic. Over a third of our employee workforce is Indigenous.
Director Peter Parkman's company Arrow will take on the repair of this building's copper roof. What started as a gathering space for the Indigenous community 25 years ago has become an eyesore at Main and Higgins.
It deteriorated due to people stealing the copper from the roof during the pandemic. So that's the reason why the building has fallen into disrepair.
Thunderbird House was taken over by community advocates in May this year who said they wanted to restore its original purpose of cultural healing, gathering, and unity.
We've heard from members of the community that we didn't think we're aware of what was going on, and they've reached out and expressed their absolute joy that work is finally getting done.
Michael Red at Champaign once said in his blog, quote, "The health of Indigenous people in Winnipeg can be seen in the upkeep and maintenance of the building." He hopes for unity going forward.
I think the next step for the Thunderbird House is for both of the groups that have been active at the Thunderbird House, both at the board and at the Occupy level, both have opportunities to have their voices heard and their concerns raised.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The Gabriel Dumont Institute in Saskatoon held their annual Louis Riel and Métis Veterans Honor Day. They filled the art gallery with memorabilia honoring those who sacrificed their lives to protect their country. APTN video journalist Rachel May has more.
Karen Schmann is the Gabriel Dumont Institute's cultural advisor.
And it was there again that the Métis were advocating to stay on their lands. The government wanted them to kick them off and to take that land and give it to settlers.
November 16th marks the anniversary of the execution of Louis Riel in 1885 for his role in the Northwest Resistance. This year's event focused on Métis veterans of various wars, a talk about Riel's choice to lead the resistance, and a short film featuring Métis artists who wrote songs inspired by the veterans. Schmann says that as people reflect on Riel, she also wants them to remember that bloodshed was never the intent in 1885.
I want the people to realize that the Métis tried safe and legal means of advocacy, letter writing, and sending spokespersons before they ever turned to armed resistance. And it was only then that they had to fight for their rights.
As more people learn about 1885, Schmann encourages them to look at whose version of history they're hearing.
And let's not forget that the historical accounts were also written by non-Indigenous people, primarily the victors of these things. And so we're finding out from Gord Downey and others that it's quite biased what anyone's history also has story at the end of that word.
The annual event rotates between Saskatoon and Batoche. The 2026 event will be in Batoche. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Time now for a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Cheskwa. Wow, welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. A picture like a painting. Today's photo of the day comes from our regular contributor, Greg Scriver. Greg captured this shot of a teepee surrounded by fall colors near Bradley's Cove in Newfoundland. Gananaskamitin. Does anyone else have any pictures that you want to be shared on TV? Send them to share@aptn.ca to be featured as our photo of the day. Now, let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the east, Charlottetown 7, Halifax 5, Happy Valley Goose Bay 1, Kuujjuaq 0, Saguenay 3, Val-d'Or 3, North Bay also 3, Toronto 4, Big Trout Lake 0, Kapuskasing 2 degrees, Churchill -4, Norway House -2, Barons River 1, Dauphin 0, Yorkton -3, Regina 5 degrees, Uranium City -11, La Ronge -5. Moving west, High Level -7, Peace River -4, Edmonton -2, Calgary 4 degrees, Bella Coola 2, Campbell River 8. Dease Lake -1, Smithers 4 degrees. Up to the north, Old Crow -3, Mayo -7. Norman Wells -9, Wati also -9. Tuktoyaktuk -11, Colville Lake -6. Cambridge Bay -13, Baker Lake -12. Resolute -16, and Iqaluit -3. The northern Manitoba town of the Paw, next to the Opaskwayak Cree Nation, is welcoming a traveling exhibit with an Indigenous twist. It's a reflection from the first Canadian female astronaut, Roberta Bondar. Her photos taken from space, sky, and land across Canada advocate for threatened bird populations and the environments that sustain them. For the first time since its inception, the Patterns and Parallels exhibition were translated into 3 Indigenous languages spoken in northern Manitoba: Cree, aka Inemuin, Dene, and Anishinaabe, which is also known as Ojibwe. Gabrielle Swan is the exhibit coordinator. She shared a bit about the migratory patterns of birds in relation to Indigenous teachings earlier with us. Thanks for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about what the exhibit is and why it's so important to include Indigenous knowledge carriers?
Absolutely. So the Patterns and Parallels exhibit is an initiative by Dr. Roberta Bondar, and it's featuring the migratory patterns of 3 birds that are on the extinction list. That's the whooping crane, the piping plover, and the lesser flamingo. And for Dr. Bondar, the mission is to really connect people with this kind of what's going on in the world and how our lives and how the world that we live in today impacts these creatures and these species that have, been around way longer than we have. So that was kind of the initial kind of interest in the project. And then for us being in the PAW and OCN area, it's very important that it's accessible to everybody in the region. We worked with UCN's IIR department, the Indigenous and Initiatives and Reconciliation Group, to make sure that we could translate it into areas that would resonate with the local Indigenous communities.
Mm-hmm. And as a non-Indigenous person yourself, can you share why it was necessary for you to get the exhibition translated into Cree, Dene, and Anishinaabe? I'm saying that wrong, I apologize.
For sure, absolutely. I'm obviously not Indigenous, and I've been living in the community for about 3.5 years. But this is an Indigenous community, so for us, we saw it as a really beautiful opportunity to give a gift to the Roberta Bondar Foundation, so that moving forward, when this exhibit travels to other locations, they always have the option of displaying it in these Indigenous languages as well. And realistically, when it comes to the reconciliation aspect of being a non-Indigenous person on Indigenous land, I think the very first way that you can honor Indigenous people is by presenting something to them in their own language. So we wanted to make sure that we were taking that first step.
And I believe the proper way to say it is Anishinaabe, and that's basically Ojibwe. So,
well, I appreciate you teaching me how to say that properly, because I feel like I struggle as well.
Can you tell us some of the knowledge that they, the carriers that worked on this project with you taught you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we worked with Star Birdie from Cross Lake, who did the translation into Cree. We worked with Tanya McDougall, who did and I know you just taught me, but I'm still maybe going to say it wrong, Anishinaabe translation, and Glenn Sesson to do the Dene translations. So basically the exhibit is featuring 53 different images of art, and those are fine art photography pieces. Some of them are taken by NASA through satellites in outer space, so you're able to actually see the migration patterns from the top level. The others were taken from helicopter, so kind of like where the birds are flying, and then the others were on the ground in kind of the nesting areas. So one of the things that Dr. Bondar had shared with us when we met her was that it was really important to pay homage to the Indigenous knowledge keepers that came before us. So one of the really cool things that Glenn did for us was he also did an audio recording of the Dene translation. So for us, it was really about making sure we're connecting with that history, because for generations, the migratory patterns of birds have been holding deep meaning within Indigenous oral histories and teachings, which was something that I didn't have any aware of, and I assume there's probably lots of other people in our community that also don't know about that. So that was one of the aspects that we really learned through the translations and the support from Star, Tanya, and Glenn.
This really sounds exciting. Finally, what's next for the exhibit?
Yeah, so the exhibit's going to be on display at UCN the Paw campus in the Tri-Community from November 27th, 2025 until March 14th, 2026. So for anybody who's listening that doesn't live in the Tri-Community area in northern Manitoba, there's lots of time for you to come visit us and experience the exhibit for yourself. Once it leaves us on March 14th, it'll be going, or I should say migrating to Kenora, Ontario. So the people in Kenora will be able to experience that as well.
I just want to thank you for your time today, and don't forget to say hi to my family back home.
Absolutely, TR. Thank you so much for your time.
And tomorrow on our daytime newscast, we will speak with Star Beardy from the Pimichikamak Cree Nation, who did that translation. So, and that's your APTN National News for this Wednesday, November 19th. I'm TR Wheatley. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. I'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern while Creason is away. Until then, from all of us at APTN to all of you, Egase, Kitam, Kikawapamitinanaw.